Today, we're talking about Allstate, specifically in the state of Florida, and how you can prepare and get ready for that audition. Stay tuned. What's going on, everybody? Aaron here, helping musicians get better faster through product reviews, educational videos, and performances. And today we're going through the Florida Allstate process. Now, this video is for anybody participating in Allstate in the state of Florida and what that audition process is like. However, there are going to be tips that are going to be helpful for people doing Allstate in any of the states later in this video. So if you're doing Allstate in a different state than Florida, just stay tuned, and I hope that you'll be able to get something good out of the rest of this video. But first, let's talk about what Allstate is, and this is pretty much the same in any state. Allstate is an honor band, which just means it is an honor to be participating in that ensemble. And this particular honor band is comprised of all the best players in the state. In a state as large as Florida, you could have up to like 200 people auditioning for 10 chairs. So it's a very competitive audition, and it's a huge honor to make it past the audition to be able to participate in the ensembles. And something really cool for me and my students is that we hold it at the Florida Music Educators Association Conference in January, which is also here in Tampa. So fortunately, I get to go and watch the concert and have fun with and see my students participate in it. However, there are people from all parts of the state, Miami, Jacksonville, Tallahassee, all over, participating in Allstate here in Tampa. Now, there are multiple ensembles, and there's a jazz band and orchestra and all that kind of different stuff, but for the most part, you're going to be auditioning for 7th and 8th grade, 9th and 10th grade, 11th to 12th grade. To be eligible to participate in Allstate, you also have to be enrolled as a member in your school band, and your band director has to be a member of the FBA association. Now, what Florida does that is unlike any other state is that you do not have to make an all-county or any other honor band in order to do Allstate. Your Allstate audition is the only one that matters for Allstate. This also means that the audition for Allstate is really early. It tends to be almost right when you get back from summer break. So the good thing is you get to work on that music all summer. The music tends to come out a couple weeks before school lets out, so you have all summer to work on the music. However, that means the biggest problem is so does everyone else. Everybody is working on this stuff, and typically only this stuff all summer long. And from what I've noticed, the people who make Allstate are the people who put the most time behind the Allstate auditions throughout the summer. Especially you high school people who are involved in marching band, you know that once July comes around, the end of July, and you start doing band camps and you're getting into that season, it's really difficult to practice for Allstate when that starts. So it's really smart to get ahead of the game, and as soon as school lets out, start really hitting your Allstate etudes as hard as you can. So let's talk about this audition a little bit, what it entails, and how you can prepare for it. So the audition for Florida Allstate is a little weird. Unlike other auditions where you go and you audition and the person on the other side of like a screen or a wall or in the room is writing down a score for you to give you a chair placement. So in the state of Florida, what happens is you go to an audition location and you are led to a room by a proctor. It tends to be a band director. And that proctor will lead you through the audition and what you're doing. But the person in the room, that proctor, has no say in your score. Which kind of takes a little bit of the nerves off, I think, because the only other person in the room has no judgment on your score, so you can feel a little more relaxed and act like they're not even there. So who does score you? Well, you actually end up playing for a recording device. That recording later in the year goes off to another band director who's been selected by FBA to screen your audition along with anybody else who is auditioning for your ensemble in your age bracket. And herein lies what I believe to be the biggest problem with Florida, even though I understand why they do it because it's such a gigantic state, is that a lot of people audition and it's a recording. The adjudicators tend to get like a weekend to work on it. They get the tape on Friday and they need to send it out on Monday morning. So as you can imagine, if they listen to it in multiple days, they might forget performers, or if they do it all in one sitting, they might get grumpy, or there's just so many kind of weird little factors in the fact that it's a recording. And just going into this knowing that it's a different audition than you'll take almost anywhere else, in that you are auditioning on a recording device. Now, the cool thing is leading up to Allstate, you can do your Allstate auditions for your own recording device. Like, I have my students put their phone on the other side of the room and play through an Allstate audition and judge themselves. And if you're judging yourself, you're probably harsher than any other judge is going to be. So you can figure out the things you need to work on and how that works out, and you can get used to playing for an inanimate object. So that's how you do it. That's the physical how. Now let's talk about what's all in the Allstate audition. Now for this video specifically, I'm talking about band. I know there are different variants for like jazz and orchestra, so I'm sorry about that. But some of them, these things are the same, so just hang on through this. But for the different levels, you can find your requirements on the FBA website, which I'll link in the description down below. Essentially what you get are, you have to play your major scales, tongue up, slurred down in the Allstate pattern. You have to do your chromatic scale 2 octaves, and it changes depending on your instrument and grade level. So you have your major scales and your chromatic scale, and then they give you 2 prepared etudes. It tends to be a lyrical and a technical etude. And it varies where you're going to get your resources from in terms of where the etudes come from. A lot of time your band director will just already have the books that they're in and they can scan and give them to you. However, if they don't, when you go to the FBA website, it tells you what book you can find your etudes in and what number they are, what page they're on, what measures you have to do. And all of the books, it tends to be stuff like Roshu or the Advanced Method or the Voxman. It tends to be readily available books that you can find on almost any website, or you can find on almost any local music store as well. I suggest getting your hands on those as fast as you can leading up to the audition, because those are the things that people are going to hit the hardest. So with those 4 different parts right there, and we're not even done, but with those 4 parts, you have a big chunk of points, and a lot of people skip out on the scales. However, the scales are a big portion of the requirement. Every grade level has a certain amount of scales that they have to play, a certain amount of octaves, as well as a certain time limit that they have to hit. So a really quick way for the adjudicator to kind of weed through anybody who might not be able to make the ensemble is by, like in high school, you have to play all 12 major scales, 2 octaves, in under 2 minutes. So if one person does their scales in 2 minutes and 10 seconds, well, I don't have to listen to the rest that they've done, because I already know that they didn't meet the requirement for the scales. So the scales are very important. A lot of people put a lot of emphasis and effort on the Allstate etudes, and those are important as well, but don't forget about the scales, the chromatic scale. Don't forget about those things, because those can weed you out very quickly before they even listen to the etudes. I'm not going to play all of the etudes in this one specific video, and I'm not going to do them for every brass instrument. However, to help out my trombone and baritone people, just because that's the instrument I play, is I will be posting those videos in a playlist in future weeks. So watch out for those to hit this channel as well. Now, one of the final proponents and one of the most difficult parts of the audition is actually the sight reading portion of the audition. And it's a good tell for the adjudicator to figure out, okay, did you just prepare your music really well, or can you actually read music very well? Practicing sight reading can also be one of the most difficult things, because it's hard to find just random stuff. It's hard to find things that you haven't read before and read through etude books that you haven't found before and just get a whole bunch of new literature to read. That's why I'm really excited to talk about the actual sponsor of this video, Sight Reading Factory. Sight Reading Factory is an app that I use in my lessons and for myself to generate random sight readings. It's really sweet. I pay a yearly fee so that I can use the service, and what it does is it generates random sight readings at varying levels for every single instrument, and all the keys and all the clefs, minor, major, everything, all the different time signatures, like anything you could possibly imagine at any difficulty level, going from like really easy and sounding musical to just what is this nonsense that I can't even read. And you're never going to see the same etude from them twice. So it has features such as playing back in a MIDI of what you just read to see if you were right or wrong. You can also start with the first pitch. You can make the playback faster or slower. There's just so many things that you can do with this that you couldn't do before Sight Reading Factory existed. I love Sight Reading Factory. I love that I can get hundreds and thousands of different etudes to sight read and practice in seconds just because I have an app. I like that, and I've been using it now for the past year in my studio and for myself to practice sight reading. Now, I love Sight Reading Factory, and I was going to talk about that app when I was talking about the sight reading portion of this audition, I reached out to them. I told them, hey, I'm going to be talking about your brand. I just wanted you to know. And they were so nice that they said, oh, cool. How about this? We'll give you a discount code. So I have a discount code linked in the description down below. It's not going to last forever, but it's going to get you on the right track this summer for getting ready for Allstate in the fall. But essentially, that is the Allstate audition in a nutshell. Now, I do want to preface this. A lot of people feel like if they don't make Allstate that they're the worst musician. Not a lot of the times is it the best musician who makes Allstate. It's just the musician who practiced the Allstate etudes the most a lot of the time. And that's not to take away from you if you have made Allstate. That doesn't mean you're a bad musician and you just can practice. There's just varying levels of it. You're not terrible if you didn't, and you're not amazing if you did. It's just a high honor to be selected for it. I tell my students, go in there, give it everything you've got, and be proud of the audition, not necessarily if you make it or not. So with all that said, do I suggest you go out for Allstate? Yes, you should go out for Allstate. If you have the time to prepare for it in the way that you think you should, I wholeheartedly think you should go out for Allstate. It's a great experience, especially in the state of Florida. They always have great clinicians. You always play really good literature, and you get to perform for all the music educators in Florida. So you're playing for a lot of people who really appreciate what you're doing on stage. Also, I'm always at the conference that it's at, so I get to meet a lot of you when you come and participate in Allstate. So those are my thoughts about Allstate and the whole process and what it is. Now, I did a video talking about audition tips specifically that was for anybody, but a lot of those tips go for Allstate auditions as well. And as I said earlier in the video, I will be posting some of the Allstate etudes here on YouTube, so look out for those in the near future as well. But that's all I've got really for Allstate. Let me know what you think about Allstate if you've done it either in Florida or in your own state, and how you prepared. Help out everybody in the comment section down below. And if you like this video, please hit that like button, and if you would, hit that subscribe button so we can get these videos directly to you as soon as they're uploaded. But as always, guys, my name's Aaron Campbell, telling you to be happy but never satisfied.